In this video, we're going to look at using methods to modularize our programs, to make our programs more efficient, to make our programs easier to read and easier to understand. Methods have a lot of purposes. Let's start by looking at a problem, a piece of code that's not really that great. We'll look at the problems with it, and then in the upcoming videos, we'll discuss ways to fix those problems. So this is a small program. It's written in the main method. So we've been using methods already because we've been writing all our code in the main method to this point. And inside this main method, well, let's just run it. And you can see I get some results down here. I had the sum from 1 to 10 is 55. So we're taking the numbers from 1 to 10, adding up their values, and that comes up to 55. The sum from 20 to 30 is 275. The sum from 35 to 45 is 440. So we're adding up the digits between two numbers, including those numbers. So let's take a look here. This is the first one that does the sum from 1 to 10. We start by creating a accumulator variable. We talked about that in the last chapter. So we have an accumulator variable to keep track of the sum. And then we have a small for loop that counts from 1 to 10 using the variable I. And every time through the loop, we add the value of I to the sum. And when we're done, we print out the sum from 1 to 10 is, and we print out that variable sum right here. Okay. That works pretty simply. Small loop that counts from 1 to 10, add up the numbers. If we look down here at the next section, we see we're using that accumulator variable again. We didn't have to initialize it again because it's already initialized up here, but we reset it to 0. We have another loop that counts from 20 to 30 and does the exact same thing. It adds each of those numbers to the sum and then prints them out again. And then we have another block of code that has another for loop. This for loop counts from 35 to 45. Adds up all those numbers and prints them out again. So what we can see here is that we have 3 blocks of virtually identical code. Okay, there's the second one, and here's the third one. So we're repeating the same code over and over and over again with 2 small exceptions. And the 2 small exceptions are the starting number and the ending number. So we're going to learn how to put that code into a method that we can call, and we're only going to write the code once. There's a principle in coding called the DRY principle, and DRY, D-R-Y, stands for don't repeat yourself. If you see the same code being repeated, there is probably a better way to do it. And that's what we see here. We see the same code being repeated 3 different times. So let's figure out how we can put this code into a method so that we don't repeat it. We can have one method that we can give our starting and ending numbers to, and it will calculate the answer for us, and we only have to write the code one time then. In the next video, we'll do an overview of how a method is structured, and then we'll come back and then we'll start to change this code that we have here. We'll start to modularize it into a method and make it shorter, more concise, and easier to read.